Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Earful Tower, and in this episode, you're going to hear Hannah Coyle talking about theatre in Paris, the exciting life of being on stage in the city of light. You could call it the city of lights, really, given that we're talking about theatre. I think we can get away with it. This episode and all the episodes brought to you by the supporters on Patreon and Substack, and also the people who do our walking tours. And there's a surprise in here for you all walking tour customers from the past, because Hannah might be a very familiar voice to you indeed. That's right. She's one of the Eiffel Tower guides. So prepare yourself. We're talking theatre, we're talking Paris, and we're talking life on stage. Hannah Coyle, how you doing?
I'm very well this morning. How are you?
What, is it morning?
I'm very well today. How are you?
No, that was cruel of me. I'm also well. This is a good day. It's fun to sit across from you again. Last time we talked about
the Latin Quarter. Mm-hmm.
I've had some people tell me that they like that episode.
Yeah.
People like your accent.
Well, that's up to them. I will allow them to believe in that.
Can we begin on that again just quickly, talking about your accent, where you're from?
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood.
I'm from
California.
Hollywood. Yes. No, I'm from Hollywood, County Down.
County Down?
County Down.
Okay, County Down.
Down.
Yep.
Which is in the north of Ireland.
Okay.
So it's just outside Belfast, which is the capital of Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland. And you've been in Paris for?
10 years.
10 years, just like me.
Yeah.
I wonder how similar these two episodes we've done have been. You know, if they were like, this is kind of ringing bells. Or maybe it's because we work together as well.
Yeah,
I know some of the answers. Yeah. Okay. So, and then quickly, as I said in the introduction, you've also met a lot of Eiffel Tower listeners.
I have. Yeah. On
walks through Latin Quarter, Montmartre, and sometimes the Marais.
Yeah.
Nice bunch.
Delightful.
Really?
Yeah. It's one of the things I love most about this job is that you just meet people that ordinarily you would never cross paths with.
True.
And then if we can bring the metaphor closer, you know, you're ultimately then walking a path with these people, and then your paths diverge again.
Yeah. It's like a Robert Frost poem or something.
Yes, indeed. And sometimes people, you know, you then find them again. I have one lady in particular, she's done a tour with me maybe 3 times. And I'm in email communication with her daughter. Yeah. And it's I say to you sometimes after a tour, when you have those kinds of experiences, it doesn't feel like work. Yeah. It just feels like you're having a nice walk in a beautiful part of a beautiful city with a friend.
What about all the horrible people?
There are no horrible people. That's the answer.
Honestly, there are no horrible people.
No, there are people having maybe a difficult day or people who have overbooked their holiday and are just fitting you in amongst maybe 3 or 4 other activities.
I'm glad you said that, because last thing I'll say on tours before we get into theatre is we've discussed this after. People should book walking tours in general. At the start of their trip.
At the beginning, absolutely.
Yeah. A lot of people leave it to the end. We were remarking that we've both seemed to meet a lot of people who are like, oh, it's our last day.
Yeah.
Firstly, do it at the start so you can, you know what's out there.
Yeah.
And you get your fresh legs.
Yeah, you get the lay of the land. And I think even doing it with you or I or another guide, you sort of have that security that even if you never see us again, you feel like you actually do know at least one person in Paris, if it's your first time, or if you've been here before, but you just don't have any other kind of personal connection to Paris. That gives you a certain sense of grounding, I think.
Also, it's not just about the things, like I find myself talking to people about, I don't know, French habits or politeness or these kind of things that you use on your trip. So think about that, guys. Book on day 1. But enough about tours. Let's talk about the theatre first. Before anything else, this is a theatre country.
Yeah.
Theatre city.
Yeah, enormously.
Is that the same where you come from?
Ireland is a country that is famed for its kind of cultural heritage. I think the city of Dublin in particular is very famous. We have an incredible national theatre, and people like Liam Neeson have come through there, and they started out as amateur actors and then were just sort of discovered and then became, the guy from Taken. That's obviously just one particular example, but there is a great kind of respect for the arts. I think at the minute it's kind of going through a slightly difficult moment because it's really the story across the world is that there is not a lot of financial support for the arts. It is considered like an unnecessary luxury. I do not agree with that. But it means that people are really living kind of hand to mouth, and it's really, they're cutting the arts budgets, government spending down to the bone, and there's an expectation that you should take a very small amount of money and stretch it very far. So that's the case where I come from, and it's been like that for a long time, and that was actually a big reason why I came to live here.
Is it the same here? The government's surely...
Yeah, it is. There is a system here called intermittence de spectacle, which basically supports artists where if you work, I won't get into the nitty gritty of it, but if you work for a basic amount of hours across a calendar year, the government will then support you financially between jobs. And so it may not be a massive amount of money, but it's enough to keep a person going. Yeah. And it's more like the deeper meaning of the message is that the government are here to support you, that they don't expect you to be working all the time and generating work all the time, that you're allowed to kind of rest and reflect, because that's so much a part of creativity is it's not constantly creating things, it's having a moment of rest.
Well, I think, you said you didn't want to get into the nitty gritty, but I think people will find that really interesting, because I remember when I booked a singer or something for one of the Earful Tower parties or something. And she sent me this really like super complicated form that was so complicated. This is the first time I came across what you're talking about, that I was like, can I just give you cash? Let me do cash. And she's like, absolutely not. No, this is how we survive the down months. And then when she explained it to me, it made a lot of sense. Yeah. But that said a lot to me about France, that sort of protecting the art in general. Yeah. It's so important here.
Yeah. And it isn't only actors, it's everybody who works in the creative industry. So it's lighting designers, it's people working in the costume department on film sets. One of my colleagues in the theatre company that I run, she also works as an intimacy coordinator. That's how she gets paid. So it's an entire kind of a holistic support of an entire industry. It's not just recognizing the people that you only see, the actors or the people whose words you listen to. It's everybody. And it's very rare. Actually, Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, has just introduced what is essentially a universal basic income for artists, which is very similar to this, but it's a pilot scheme. They're not sure that they're going to be able to continue.
Intriguing. But then the logical next step to me for an Irish woman in Paris would be to take Russian literature.
Well, obviously, Oliver. Yeah. I mean, the two dots are so closely connected, they might as well be one.
That's what you've done. Let's talk about what you're working on now. And we're both fully aware, I think, that not everyone is in Paris right now and able to see it, but I still want to talk about what you've got coming up and give it a fair shout out, because I like the arts and I want to support it and I want people to come to your show. So firstly, Chekhov.
Chekhov, yeah.
Anton,
our mate, Anton.
Anton Pavlovich Chekhov. I looked it up before I came.
You didn't.
Yeah, I did.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Russian, I do my research here. Russian writer who made a couple plays, modernism, changed the game a little bit when it comes to writing plays. Yeah. And you've taken one of them.
Yeah. And he's also very famous just in terms of actors, because he worked very closely with a man called Stanislavski. And that's like a very well-known kind of acting method. People who talk about method acting, like Daniel Day-Lewis, it comes from Stanislavski.
What's the Stanislavski method?
It's basically you have to put yourself into, there may be people listening saying that's totally incorrect, but my understanding of it is that it's that you use your own emotional experiences and memories to inform that of your character.
Ooh, yeah.
It's very helpful, but it can be very damaging to your mental health.
Because you put yourself too much into the character.
Yeah, and to keep on
get out.
reliving trauma.
I heard stories about actors that can't get out of there. Who's the guy that did Elvis? Butler?
Austin Butler.
Kept talking like Elvis.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, Austin Butler, another of the people that I run the company with, she did a TV show with Austin Butler in New Zealand before he was Elvis. And we spent one evening watching her episode with him, and it was remarkable how he sounded totally different and then before he did Elvis, and she said that's not at all what he sounded like. And now he can't quite get out of it, bless him.
If I listen to old episodes of the Earful Tower, I don't recognize my accent because it's softened. I sounded way more Australian.
I sounded way more Northern Irish.
Really? Okay, so you've taken the Three Sisters, one of Chekhov's plays. Now you've already performed this in Paris.
Yes.
Because I've seen it. How long ago was that?
That was last year. It was just over a year ago.
Okay, so talk me through it. You're doing it again. Explain to me, like I've never seen it. I don't know what's happening.
So it's, I was inspired actually by an Australian to do it, an Australian director called Simon Stone. I saw him do a version of it in French here about 8 years ago, and it just blew my mind. And I had never really liked Chekhov. I worked on Chekhov at theatre school, and it didn't really do anything for me. But seeing that, I thought, this is the most amazing story because it's nothing really remarkable apart from one big event at the end of the play. Nothing really remarkable happens, and it's just about a family and this sort of unit of people moving in and out of their lives, and the passage of time. And I just thought it really spoke to my Irishness of just this kind of family drama. And so it is focused on these 4 siblings. There's everybody talks about the fact it's 3 sisters, but they also have a brother. And they live in a large house in rural Russia. And one day a man comes into their lives, and it kind of changes the trajectory of one of the sisters' lives in particular, but actually on the periphery, everybody else's lives.
And so you've, like, on the movie poster, it's not a movie, theatre poster, it says that it's the way that you've written is like Chekhov, like by Hannah Coyle, is that what you wrote?
It's written by me after Chekhov. So it's when you take a pre-existing story and you do your own adaptation of it or your own reinterpretation. This is not, I think if for people coming wanting to see an exact replica of what Anton Chekhov wrote in the late 19th century, that's not what this is. I have changed quite a lot of it.
How do you even figure out what to change? How did you do that? And what are you even basing it? Like, you're basing off of one translation already? No,
what I did was I read about 4 or 5 different translations, and I had studied it at theatre school, so it was already sort of fresh in my mind, or fresher in my mind than it would have been just if it was just a totally new story to me. And then I remember thinking, there's one particular sort of story. A part of this story is people talk about there's a relationship between 2 characters, and it's held up as like, this is one of the greatest sort of examples of a romantic relationship in theatre. And I read it and I thought, these people barely speak to each other. This doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. And I thought we should see the actual development of their relationship. So I wrote an entirely new scene that I put in at the beginning of the play in order to explain why the relationship between these 2 characters, Masha and Vershinin, has sort of gone down in the annals of history.
And so when you wrote it, were you like, how faithful you want to be to Chekhov and his style, or did you just go, look, it's 2025 right now, let's have some fun, throw in a iPhone 16 kind of thing?
No, I wanted to keep it timeless. So there are no references to sort of modern things, but it could be performed today or set in 2025. For this particular production, we're setting it, it's almost sort of timeless. So it could be the 1950s, it could be the 1920s, it could be the late 1800s. It's just sort of, I almost imagine that these people are haunting a house. So they're kind of, they could be ghosts in a house.
What's the deal with Chekhov's gun?
So it's something that it exists, then has gone forward just in terms of playwriting and screenplay writing, that if you introduce an important prop, i.e. a gun, then it's going to have an ongoing impact. Later in the story, it will reappear in the story.
Right.
So, and I think actually it might be in Three Sisters, because there is a shooting at the end.
Okay.
Somebody gets shot.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I'm not going to say who, although it's a really old play, so you can look it up.
Have I told you? I don't know. I know we've talked about all this before, but have I told you that I knew a Russian who told me their version of this saying about Chekhov's gun?
No.
And in Russian, apparently, some of them say that the saying is, don't introduce a gun to a story unless it's going to sing and dance later.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Isn't that neat? Yeah. Russian language is something else.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And that's the thing, is that I don't speak Russian, and so I wish I did, because my understanding of it is all the Russian people that I speak to about Chekhov, they all say he's absolutely hilarious, but he gets presented. In my experience, I've only seen him performed in French and in English, which is fine because those are the languages that I speak. But it's presented as very serious. Like, this just, everybody's just depressed all the time, and there's no lightness, there's no comedy.
That's fascinating.
But actually in Russian, apparently they are hilarious. And I think it's a combination of just very dark humor that Russian people generally have. But I also think that it's everybody's performing in their native language, and so you can find the nuances that you wouldn't necessarily find in your second language. So that actually was really important for me with this adaptation, was to find light and for there to be moments of lightness. Nobody wants to go to the theatre for 2 hours and just be depressed the entire time.
I remember the one that I went to when you were doing this in the Left Bank. You had Paris comedy stars.
Yeah. Sarah Donnelly was there.
Sarah Donnelly and Amber Minogue,
yeah.
front row. And they were laughing their heads off.
Yeah. That was so gratifying for me.
They were great. They were great audience members.
Yeah.
But there you go. Funny. That's so interesting, though, with translating humor. Because I think about that even in my own life.
Yeah.
Like, I think in English, I can be funny. I'm not going to say I'm a funny guy, but I know I can be funny. In French, if I want to have that personality sometimes, but my French isn't good enough to do the same sort of highbrow jokes we're talking about, right? So I have to do really lowbrow jokes to try and have that same personality. Yeah. And it's not funny at all. I get it. It's just really not funny. But translating humor is a
yeah. It's just, I think I saw a lady talking about, she was a native Spanish speaker, and she said, I think she lived in the United States, and she said, I speak English, but I wish I could tell people, you don't know how funny I am in my own language.
That, by the way.
If you knew how funny I was in my native language.
I say it. I don't know what she's talking about. Say it. I speak Swedish with my in-laws, with my family, and sometimes I'll say something that really falls flat. And I'll go, if you only knew.
Yeah, if you
only knew. I'm obviously joking as well. But I'm like,
yeah, partially.
I have a radio show. I have a podcast in English.
Yeah.
I can talk.
I have a way with words.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, well, we don't know about that.
Sure. Okay.
Theatre in, but firstly, if there's people who are in Paris and want to come see this show, let's get these details. December 9th
to December 14th. So it's a Tuesday through to a Sunday. The Tuesday to Saturday shows are in the evening, and then on the Sunday it is a matinee at 4 p.m.
And it's in the 12th arrondissement, right behind Ground Control.
Yeah, the Théâtre de l'Opprimé, which in English translates to the Theatre of the Oppressed, which feels fitting to do a Chekhovian play there.
For what is it, like 100-year-old play now?
Probably a bit more. I mean, he was writing in the late 1800s, so maybe my maths is absolutely appalling, which people who do my tours will be aware of. I can barely count.
How much maths are you doing on the tour?
Well, just if you're talking about dates, and it's like 120 something years ago. I mean, the Philippe Auguste Wall Oliver, I'm like, it's about 900 years old. Yeah. Somebody get a calculator out. But yeah, I think like 120, 130
I
years
won't believe
old.
anything that you say now that I know that these are the details.
It's a ballpark figure.
You know what, when I was researching Chekhov this morning, actually, that really struck me about him, that made me a bit jealous as well, is he said, a quote of his, he said that because he was a physicist, of course.
Aren't we all?
He said, what did he say? That medicine was his lawful wife and literature was his mistress, which made me, and also above it in the documentary I was reading, Wikipedia, it said that he's considered one of the greatest writers of all time. I was like, if that's like your side gig,
wow,
isn't that annoying?
Yeah.
So what do you think he just said that when people went to see his shows? He's like, oh, nah, I'm actually a doctor.
Yeah.
So if you don't like it.
Yeah, this is just my hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only partially care about
kind
this.
of annoying
yeah,
guy.
because not only was he successful in his time, like there are so many people who are successful in their lifetime and then they have a certain amount of notoriety after they pass away and then they just disappear and you never hear from them again or their plays are never really performed again. I don't think that's going to be the case with Chekhov. I think he will be performed. I think ultimately he will become like Shakespeare.
What about old Oscar Wilde?
Oscar Wilde, I think for Oscar Wilde, it was also the myth of the personality as much as anything else that he was, he only wrote one play in his time. But for him, he was a novelist and he wrote short stories, but it was also that he was just this incredible raconteur and was just constantly just in conversation spitting out these eternal quotes that would be iconic.
Is he really beloved by Irish people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Everyone likes him.
He's one of these people where because he was born in Dublin and he was educated in Ireland, but he ultimately then moved to England. It was at a time when Ireland was still colonized by the British, and so to be Irish and British were actually the same thing. But he really, as far as the Irish are concerned, he lived in Ireland for a long time. That he is sort of imbued in the spirit of the writing of Ireland and kind of vice versa. We talk about the fact that I do enjoy talking.
We said that before we press record.
Well, yes, indeed. But I really.
So do I, by the way.
Yeah. I think that he is a great example of just Irish people have. This is going to sound so pompous, but Irish people. I don't necessarily include myself in this, but Irish people have just a natural poetry in the way that they speak, which is informed.
The Gift of the Gab, is that Irish?
Yeah.
Where's that in Dublin as well? No.
No, just all across the place.
But
there's a place called the Blarney Stone at Blarney Castle, which I think is in County Cork.
Yep.
You would want to fact check that. And people, you have to bend down backwards and kiss the Blarney Stone.
Weird.
I actually think that they obviously had to stop it during COVID, and I don't know that it has been reopened. It's also a really dirty stone in a dirty castle. You don't need to do that.
There's one in Rome, I can't remember, but I knew it 6 months ago that everyone goes and puts their finger in this.
La Bocca della Verità.
There you go. And I was just like, where did that start? It could be anything.
Also, it's that is an old drain, like a sewage drain, the cover of a sewage drain. So I did it when I went to Rome because it's what you do, but it's very dirty.
I saw a long queue and I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
not doing it.
It's in my favorite film. So there's a moment in my
film?
Roman Holiday with Audrey Hepburn. So that was why I went.
Yeah, fair enough. Obviously, the reason I brought up Oscar Wilde is because of the Irish connection, but he's buried in Paris and spent some time here. Just to finish on Oscar Wilde, though, do you know if French people care for him as well?
I think so. His plays are performed here. I would say his most famous play, The Importance of Being Earnest, is performed here. You see it from time to time, and if I talk about his plays with French people, they will know that will be the one that they will know. I think it's quite difficult for French people. The translation is difficult because so much of Oscar Wilde's plays were about kind of class and the upper classes in London in the 19th century. And I think it's lovely to portray that, but I think that it's just so different from French people's understanding of class. And so I think that they enjoy doing it, but it's almost like it's kind of a novelty thing. It's a bit sort of like going to Disneyland. I don't think that they kind of fully get involved in the nuances.
I wonder what English-speaking French people will think of your English take on a Russian play. That's pretty complicated when you think about it.
And what will be even more interesting actually is that we are subtitling it in French as well. So it is being translated into French and then we're having subtitles that are going to be projected onto the walls.
Up on the top?
So French people can come and see it. I mean, that's very common here in Paris, which is such a melting pot of so many languages and cultures, that you can go and see a play in Swedish, you can go and see a play in German, and the subtitles, it will be subtitled in French.
If you go not off script, but
if you forget your lines,
or if let's say a bat flies in and there's a pause, is there someone that's got their finger on?
Yeah, there's a person who operates it, who pauses and is familiar enough with the play to recognize, this is a moment where people aren't speaking now, so I'm going to press the button when it's time for them to speak. But when you forget your lines, it's just a bit embarrassing.
Is the whole goal of forgetting, not the goal of, but when you forget your lines, is the main thing is don't let the audience realize that that's happened. That's just it.
Yeah, because for the most part, what you tell people is the audience doesn't know. Yeah. They can't see the text, but actually in our instance, they can see the text. But it'll only be obvious if you're a French speaker.
So bringing it back to Paris and sort of, I want to go to English language theatre in general. It feels to me it's not a huge thing here.
I would say I've been here for 10 years. When I first came here, there was a wariness around it, that French people... Yeah, I think it's okay for me to say French people rather than the international community in Paris. There is French people feel that unless they speak English perfectly without any kind of a French accent, then they don't speak English. And I have to say that I just don't agree with that. I feel like the point of language is communication rather than perfection. And so as long as you're understood, then the goal has been achieved. But for French people, especially with English language theatre, I don't know that it's the case with, if you have like a Japanese company coming here, English language is considered this very sacred thing, this very high quality thing, this amazing apex that should be achieved. And so if you don't understand it, then you just shouldn't engage with it, right? So 10 years ago, people, I think, thought, that's too stressful. It's foreign. It's English. I don't want to handle it. Yeah. But actually what's happened is, I think with the advent of Netflix and Prime, all of the streaming services, you actually have so many more people who are learning English literally just through watching Netflix, that English has become way more accessible and way more accepted, that now with the company that I run, or I co-run, so many of the people who are coming to see our shows, for them, it's just an opportunity to see something else in English. And they're actually excited and engaged to be there. So we have a huge amount of people who live in Paris who English isn't their first language, but they speak English fluently. And they just want to, there isn't a massive amount, unless you just go to the cinema all the time, there's not actually a massive amount of culture that you can.
You can only see Cabaret so many times.
Yeah. Just once or twice might be enough.
Cool. Okay, let's end on a friend of the show, Jane Webster, Chatelaine.
Yeah.
You guys did a performance out there. I don't know if she's listening, if Jane's listening. Maybe she is. Hi, Jane.
Hi.
What happened there? Give the listeners an idea of the thrills of different stages you can have.
So I've been making theatre. I came here to study at theatre school. So my entire experience of being in Paris is closely connected to theatre. And I ran a company before, or I co-ran a company before, and then this particular company that I've been co-running since 2023 is called Alchemy Theatre, and it was all about the magic of theatre, that kind of there's almost this spell that is cast when the lights go down and we just start to watch a play. And so the first show that we did with Alchemy was a version of The Taming of the Shrew by William Shakespeare, which is, it's quite a controversial play because it is quite violent and there are very dark themes to it. But we really wanted to focus on the sort of female empowerment aspect of it. all I will say with that is why I'm talking about that is just that for us, it was how do we make something, a play that could be considered slightly off-putting, how do we make it as attractive as possible? So we were very fortunate that Jane offered us her home in Normandy for us to go and perform. I think one of the loveliest things with theatre is you can do it in a theatre, in a black box, but you can also do what we call site-specific theatre, which is you go and do it in an unexpected place. And, I've done plays on boats, in hotel rooms, so many different places. And so much of that really helps the audience get into the setting. It does so much of the heavy lifting. And for us, we were just so fortunate that Jane offered us this place, because for the audience, it's as much where they are, what they're looking at, as the story that they're hearing. So that was
and in case
such
you don't know
thrill.
Jane's home, it is a chateau.
A chateau.
A magnificent chateau in Normandy.
Chateau Bosquet.
So, which have been out there. Lena does watercolors out there, actually.
Yeah.
But a lovely setting for a play, and I wish I had seen that one.
Yeah. Well, you came to see it when we did it in Paris, but it is a totally different setting.
Yeah.
We just did it in a small little black box theatre, but to do it on site in an incredible chateau is, like, for us as actors, you have to remember the actors are also having their own experience of, like, this is absolutely incredible to be telling this story in this setting. Like, and that is, for us, we just want to entertain our audiences. And so the thought that the audiences are watching a great play, but also in such an incredible setting like that. Yeah, you talk about thrilling, that was thrilling. And just every day working on a theatre company on these kinds of projects, there are small thrills, there are big thrills, but it is the alchemy of theatre. But also it's just why I keep doing it. I wouldn't do it if I've done it for a long time, and I wouldn't keep doing it if I didn't derive a lot of pleasure and a lot of, like, thrill from what we do.
Brilliant. I think everybody keep your finger on the pulse of Alchemy Theatre. Follow them on social media. Everything will be linked below. If you're not here in December to catch the Three Sisters, written by Hannah Coyle after Chekhov, then check them out next time you're in town. I'll be linking it all below. As I said, also, I think maybe the best place to do a giveaway is on Instagram.
Sure.
Instagram. So there'll be a pair of tickets for one lucky pair out there. But keep an eye on Instagram, the Earful Tower, to find out how you can win it. But Hannah, thanks so much for sharing your world with us.
Thank you for having me.
And looking forward to the show, and keeping an eye on what you guys are up to going forward. So thanks so much to Hannah Coyle from Alchemy Theatre. Check out their show, all linked in the show notes below. And yes, if you're quick, go on Instagram and try and win yourself a pair of tickets. Maybe I'll see you there. And then once again, as for the Earful Tower podcast, every week from Paris with interesting people telling interesting stories. If you like it, if you value this show, find how you can become a member on Patreon or Substack, also all linked below, and help us not just keep these wheels turning, but unlock a bunch of extra stuff for yourself along the way. My name's Oliver G. This is the Eiffel Tower. I'll be back again next week. Au revoir.